You're 9 months pregnant. There is no hospital, and there won't be one for 200,000 years. No painkillers, no doctors, no clean white room, just you and the people gathered around your fire. And the most dangerous moment of your entire life is about to begin. What happens next is the reason half of human history is missing. Let me show you why. For 300,000 years, women did something that should have been impossible. They gave birth with none of the tools we now call essential. No sterile rooms, no surgery, no epidurals. And still, the species survived. So the real question isn't how they did it, it's who helped them do it. Because the archaeological record is clear. She never did this alone, not once in our entire history. Picture a hunter-gatherer camp 50,000 years ago. A woman realizes she's pregnant, and instantly, the behavior of the whole group bends around her. She isn't pushed aside. She becomes the center of a network anthropologists call cooperative breeding. The older women, the ones who'd already survived this, took over her work, brought her food, and passed down knowledge older than any language she spoke. This wasn't kindness, it was a survival strategy. Because human birth is uniquely deadly. Compared to every other primate, our babies arrive with enormous heads, wide skulls from our oversized brains, forced through a pelvis narrowed by walking upright. The cost was staggering. Across a lifetime of births, a woman's odds of dying could approach 1 in 3. So these tribes built a defense, a role older than farming, older than cities, older than almost everything we call civilization, the midwife. And we can see how ancient this role really is. Researchers examining very old human remains found bodies worn down in a strangely specific way. Knees and joints ground down by years of kneeling, bracing women through labor again and again. These weren't helpful onlookers. They were specialists, women who had seen dozens of births, who could turn a breech baby with their bare hands, who knew which plants slowed bleeding and which positions opened the body. The first doctors we ever had. And here's what should surprise you, how carefully they ran a birth. When labor began, no one panicked. They'd been preparing for weeks. A birthing place was already chosen, set apart from camp, but close enough to stay safe. Soft ground, water nearby, shelter overhead. Archaeologists find these spots across Africa and Europe. Quiet clearings packed with tools and burned plants. And the laboring woman was never left with a single helper. 3 to 5 women usually surrounded her, each with a role. One led the delivery, reading how the baby sat and how far the body had opened. One became her chair, taking her weight as she squatted or leaned. One readied warm water, plant medicine, and tools. And one kept the fire and watched the dark, because labor could last for days, and the sounds carried. Notice what she did not do. She did not lie flat on her back. That's a modern hospital habit. She squatted, knelt, or stood, and let gravity pull the baby down. The midwife's hands read the baby's position, guided the head, and eased it out without tearing. And when something went wrong, they didn't freeze. A breech baby, a cord wound around the neck. They had an answer for each. They knew how to reach in and turn a child, how to cut and tie a cord with a stone blade, how to press hard and stop a hemorrhage. None of it was guessing. All of it was inherited. The instant the baby emerged, a new danger opened. And they were ready. The infant went straight onto the mother's bare chest, skin to skin. Exactly what hospitals tell you to do today. But the old way went further. They delivered the placenta and inspected it, because a fragment left inside could kill her. And they didn't cut the cord right away. They waited for it to stop pulsing, letting the last of the blood drain into the baby. Modern medicine discovered this in the 1990s. They had known it for 50,000 years. Then came recovery, and the community mattered even more. The new mother didn't return to work for weeks, sometimes months. Others fed her, helped her nurse, and raised her older children for her. This was not a favor. It was written into the social contract. Among the Hadza of Tanzania and the Kung of the Kalahari, the supported mothers simply survived more often. And when a birth turned tragic, they had protocols for that too. A baby not breathing, a child born too damaged to live. Sometimes they could revive it, clear the airway, force the first breath. Sometimes they could not. For the ones they lost, there were rituals of grief, graves, 100,000 years old, hold infants buried with care and ceremony. Mourning is that old. But here is the part that should change how you see a modern delivery room. The ancient system had one thing most hospitals have quietly lost: continuous, unbroken emotional support. A 2017 review of more than 15,000 births put a number on it. Women supported the whole way, had labors about a quarter shorter, needed fewer interventions, and left far more satisfied. And the effect was strongest when the helper was experienced, but not medically trained. In other words, the ancient midwife. Yet modern hospitals, for all their machines, often isolate the laboring woman. Rotating strangers, sterile rooms, frequently no family at all. The ancient model was the exact opposite. Trusted faces, a familiar place, hands that had known her for life. And when birth went normally, the old outcomes were genuinely good. In living hunter-gatherer groups, an uncomplicated labor is about as safe as in a wealthy modern nation. The historical horror came from the hard cases: infection, hemorrhage, obstruction, where modern medicine truly saves lives. But for the ordinary birth, their system simply worked, because it ran on 300,000 years of knowledge, handed woman to woman, knowledge we are only now confirming with science. Over 50 plant species used in indigenous birth carry real drug-like compounds. Upright movement genuinely shortens labor. Emotional support, now sold as doula care, is proven to work. They worked it all out with no laboratory, just constant births, and the tribes with better systems left behind more children. Which finally answers the question we started with: why is half of human history missing? Because this was women's knowledge, and women's knowledge was spoken, not written. Even after writing existed, birth was treated as a women's matter and almost never recorded. It lived only in the minds of midwives, passed on by showing and doing. Then colonization and industry tore through those cultures, and it vanished within a generation or two. We lost tens of thousands of years of hard-won expertise, almost, because fragments survived. In 2019, anthropologists lived among the aka people of Central Africa. Their midwives still use positions, plant medicines, and support that mirror birthing sites 40,000 years old. An unbroken chain of knowledge running the entire length of our species. So the next time you picture a woman 9 months pregnant, wired to a wall of monitors, remember her body was built for something that worked for 300,000 years without any of it. Your ancestors survived the most dangerous moment of their lives, not because they were tougher than you, but because they were never, ever alone. They built communities that caught them at their most fragile, and those communities became our very first medicine. The missing half of history isn't gone. It's in every culture that still honors the midwife, every woman who holds another through the dark, and every time we remember that birth was never something done to you, it was something a whole people did, together.